one is 7card, so the aggregator for sport. But during the last year or so, I've literally become obsessed about the remote work and the state that the pandemic forced us to work in, and started thinking more and more whether those are just challenging times or we can actually take advantage and have some lessons learned and have a chance to prepare better our organizations for the future. So that being said, I think what the plan would be, and hopefully you agree with it, for me to go over a set of let's call them lessons learned and some proposals for adjustments and to be implemented within our organizations. Obviously, if we can do this, more collaboratively, and if you have questions, sure, in half an hour, 40 minutes or so, we can have a dedicated Q&A. But if you feel, since there are not that many of us anyway, I think maybe we should use this to our advantage. So in case there's a hot topic that you want to stop me and contribute or ask something, please do so. I think it all starts with the people, with our employees, and how they felt and how they reacted to those times. And there are literally tons of surveys being made, not so much specific for Romania, but I think generally the situation has been quite the same for everybody around the globe. So we had tons of reports and surveys and studies that we could gather some information. But to keep it this briefly, I've just chosen a survey that I trust. It's called Buffer State of Remote Work, and I trust it. Why? Because it goes back a number of years before, so it's not something that okay, they decided to do during the pandemic, but actually have been studying the phenomena of remote work. And I think the sample is large enough to be relevant. First things first, it kind of being forced and pushed to work in this remotely in this context, after some time opened a bit our eyes as employees and also our eyes as employers. And definitely, I think this is something that we can clear right off the start, is the fact that almost everybody, because 98% is, I would say, everybody, would like in the future to have some degree of flexibility. If we would like to keep the office, not keep the office, I think that comes as a secondary question. But the fact that all of us at times, on certain occasions, would like to benefit for more flexibility and work from a different place rather than the office, is definitely a clear thing. Why? For a number of reasons. And again, this is something that has come up from a bunch of surveys. The ability to be flexible when it comes to scheduling, the ability to be flexible when it comes to location. Very, very important, very pragmatic, not having to commute. And I think traffic is a key consideration. And if we do this type of, because this survey has a broad audience, but if we do this survey with an audience in from some of the most crowded cities, like we have the example of Bucharest in our case, then this can easily become number one, because the more crowded the city is, the more time we stay in traffic, the more we learn to appreciate what other use we can give to this 1 or 2 hours that we've been normally been stuck in traffic every day. What are the downsides? Because if this was an easy topic and simply working remote would be all positives and no negatives, then we would not have this much debate around this. Well, the reason is obviously collaboration and communication with colleagues and others. Some feelings of loneliness, distractions at home, because we simply there's a blurred line between work and personal life right now, because there is no disconnect that came from being physically disconnected places. And that commute time was long, was horrible, but the big advantage of it was like a hard line, a hard barrier, sort of say, between the work life and the personal life. I looked also at the results for the last year, 2020, and also the survey of very recently, a few weeks ago, from 2021. And not being able to unplug, so basically burnout and the feeling of stress, and that work is getting too much past to a certain danger zone into our lives, has reached the first position when it comes to acknowledged challenges of the employees. And it's clear now that we see it, that a year in this setup, if it was a short amount of time, then we probably could have get over it quite more easy. But it takes a toll, and many people are starting to feel what we basically call burnout. So to recap, the main challenges as stated by the employees, and it's not only this study, as I've said, is basically all of them say the same thing. I'm just trying to condense here the learnings, is burnout, difficulties to collaborate, some feeling of loneliness at times, and distractions at home, kids, family members, loud neighbors. You tell me. I've been through all of them myself. What happens though if we look a bit beyond what people tell us? What are the underlying aspects of work in this setup that led for employees to experience those kind of negative aspects in their lives? Again, this is a bit of my take, and that came from digesting tons of surveys and studies and white papers and all that I could get my hand onto, but also by talking, and I'm not exaggerating, I think in Romania I've talked with at least 150 representatives of at least 150 companies, mostly HR managers, HR directors, but also CFOs, COOs, CEOs, or slash founders, if we're talking about smaller companies and startups. And it all comes together. I would say the three underlying challenges, issues that lead us to what the employees are experiencing are those. Real-time communication as default. What that means is, in an office setup, we've been that's what we naturally do. We talk in real time. I have an issue. I go to my colleague and I tell him, can you please tell me this or that, or can we meet in 15 minutes? I just have something short, or even longer meeting. Can we afternoon? Can we have a I don't know, 1 hour status meeting on, I don't know, on some project. And this kind of behavior, we copy pasted it into this new setup, and it's simply, at least in an office, you had some degree of control. You know that person, your colleague, is not interrupted. You would see who interrupts him, so you would at some point in time, okay, I will not interrupt him with yet another issue because he's working on something and I saw he talked with some other colleague, and I'll just wait. But while working at home, you don't know what they're doing, and you simply get tons of calls or those kind of Zoom meetings that are not planned out, they're not thoughtful. It simply comes out. You might have a WhatsApp work group with your department, and somebody said, let's talk about that report that we need to deliver next week. How about we talk today at 3? And what happens, maybe those people were doing something else. You literally blocked 1 or 2 hours. You've interrupted them, and in most cases, there's another Zoom meeting that doesn't build on something that was thought, created, and is not a collaboration process based on something that already exists in order to enhance it, but rather with nothing on the table. Let's just bring everybody and thought about and discuss about this new point. So second, to a certain degree, micromanagement and remote work is not something new. It's been going on for years, but it's been flying under the radar. And basically what the pandemic did is just brought it up to the world. And the biggest barrier before, so 2-3 years ago, or in the way of remote work adoption, were managers, basically. And I'm not talking obviously about all of them. I'm talking about the managers that themselves feel more comfortable when they see their teams physically with them in the rooms, and they believe they have this sense of security and the warm feeling that you know that everybody's working. In reality, obviously, and I've experienced this myself, it's you cannot really control. So if there's a colleague in this in the other end of the room working on its desktop, you don't know really if they're being productive or just slacking and browsing. So it's a bit of a fake issue. So people slacking, not basically cheating. That's for ages, right? It's not like in remote work all of the sudden people are slacking off more than before. So many of us still have in a way this kind of tendency to micromanage, to keep close and have too often too many check-ins with the team, and that results in again in this feeling of burnout, stress, interruption. It kind of gets in the way. And why is that? Well, because the leadership, the company, did not fully react to the new setup and did not try to implement the right processes and tools, and just as said, copy pasted what was working in the office. Let's do the same, but with us at home. And another thing that contributes this is the being focused on time worked rather than on output, and this is huge, and we will talk about this afterwards. And the third and final underlying issue, I would say, it's being remote. It kind of pushed us into doing more solitary work, and remote work should not be only individual and solitary work. We should proactively have opportunities for people to meet, to collaborate, and to have the proper infrastructure or access to infrastructure in place in order to allow them to collaborate at times whenever they feel the need to. And by the way, this last point is the area where Pluria is contributing with a solution. But they are now there's this chapter that I've been trying to structure that distills not only mine but some other experts as well, and mine with my input, of course, distills the lessons learned and what I believe they are the 5 areas that we should put more emphasis and try to proactively adapt here. And those are the 5 areas that fix those underlying problems of the organizations, that in turn fix the challenges that the employees face that we started with. First of the 5 is asynchronous work. This is the same as stating let's not have the same real-time collaboration communication method as said before. So real-time is synchronous, async is the opposite. And what that basically does is to empower employees to do as much as possible on their own, so that when they finally get in sync at the relevant points in time, they have a solid foundation and the team can contribute to something that perhaps the initiator of the Zoom call spent time and effort to bring it to a level that can be workable and that others can contribute to it. And how we can do that? There are a number of tools that can be implemented. From the most basic ones, just shared collaborative office tools. So the Google version or the Microsoft version of Word and Excel. So the tools we have enough. For example, at Pluria, we use a software called Basecamp, which is for communication and task management, and you can set some milestones and some documents that people can share, and they can with the others and collaborate. That is in one small pack. It's kind of hard for bigger organizations, but for small organizations it works well. Tools is the easy part. The processes, and that when I say actually, I think processes is the wrong word. I think before processes is a set of norms, a set of a guide, in a way that comes top down from the leadership and empowers a new set of the team with a new set of norms. And basically, that's what I said is telling them, showing them, guiding them to contribute individually as much as possible, to respect each other's time, do not interfere that much, because it's, from my experience, it's much more productive, the teamwork, if, for example, the questions that somebody might have are answered when the other party can bring that to that email, which can be in a day or two. So rather than it's for me, it's a trap. You might think that shooting a quick WhatsApp question might be fast, but there are thousands of such real-time communication lines that act as many interruptions. And you know that phrase, death by 1,000 paper cuts. In a way, that's what real-time communication does to remote teams work. Third, teach them how to write. I think writing is a superpower of remote teams. Not being in office, know-how is not that easy to go from one side of the organization to the other. That's first. Second, in a growing organization, people will need to catch up with what the norms are and what the organization and the know-how and so on. And having stuff documented and kept clean is really one of those things that is extremely important, but is never urgent. And that's why, including myself, it's something that we always postpone. But we see so clearly the benefits if we get it right. The new onboarded colleagues and communication at large in the team really works wonders. And that's, I basically touched the second point, which is documentation. And I've talked about growing companies, and scaling is basically this. It's a processes problem. So the faster we onboard a new sales rep or whatever other area of the company, having for that new person to have all the context at hand and instantly can work wonders into how fast those employees have their ramp up in terms of learning, and how fast the organization can scale. Focus on outputs. Basically, the issue here is very simple, and I put here more words to broaden a bit the subject, but the issue is not, don't focus on time, the time spent by your employees, because we could not control it in the office, and we definitely cannot control it now in our work setup. But really focus on output. And something that I experienced myself. So in 7Card, we were beginning of the pandemic last year, we were about a 50 people team. And honestly, I could tell better with everybody at their own at home and not in the office, but I could tell better than before who is truly productive and providing value rather than just slacking off. And the reason I thought about it, and the reason is in office there are many things that form our opinion as managers. And for so many times I've been maybe given too much credit to people that are really pleasant people, and you know, the good guys, the funny guys. You tend to keep a person longer in organization if they have those kind of soft skills. They know how to when to say a joke. People laugh. They drink a coffee. They're very pleasant, and that kind of takes your attention away from what they contribute to the organization. And that's why, to me, it's a bit of a paradox, but it's real, and I'm not the only one that has experienced this with the team. It's much more obvious now who the good team members are, and the opposite, and who's basically just slacking off. So yeah, that's the third of the five. Fourth is they are advocates. I'm not for, I don't know if you realize by now, but I'm not for keeping the office, but I'm not for either for dismantling, just giving up on the office entirely. And you'll see later on, I'm for a formula that kind of builds the best out of the two worlds. The very active promoters of getting back to the office state that you know, you cannot have a good company culture unless everybody's in the same place and you have those you know, serendipity, sociability moments throughout the day. And I would definitely say that they are wrong, because there are remote only companies that have been functioning for 10 or 15 years. Not that many in Romania, of course, but we have great examples abroad that have built over time really strong company cultures. So I really don't buy it. So to tell me that a culture is built because people get around the same this water dispenser and they exchange a few words, that's not it. Proper culture is built on purpose. Otherwise is just I don't know, like a kid that forms its own personality, because in the end everybody will have a personality, or every company will have a culture, but that doesn't mean that culture is a good culture, because you just let it happen, and it was not a thoughtful, proactive process to encourage a proper building of a culture. And that's my point. And the same kind of thinking we can implement to a remote setup. Let's proactively, as employers, create the set of framework, the guides that allow moments of sociability and interaction and collaboration, even if people
mai puțin că
stay
trebuie
at
să
home
fac mai frunde asta, da. Așa. Merge foarte greu, frate, că, de exemplu, la UiPath, tot așa, ei au ecosistem.
Okay. Good. So there's definitely something that we should proactively bring to the table, because if we just leave it as such, of course it won't work, and we won't build a proper culture. But the same, even if not that obvious, the same could go wrong in an office setup. And fifth and last one is I love this term. It's, I don't know who coined it, but it's recent, and I think it expresses very well the kind of mentality that good companies have. That is talent liquidity. It sounds fancy in a way, but once you get it, it expresses really well this type of mentality. And basically, it implies being really agile when it comes to roles, projects, activities, to the work setup, the kind of office that people need, and has huge implications, and is really, it makes an organization much more agile, and they can scale faster and be more resilient, and it can even be anti-fragile. One really big benefit of this, and I'm sure most of you are already considering this, is to access a bigger talent pool. So what that means is, up until now, we've actually restricted the talent pool to an area that is I don't know, a radius around our headquarters. So it's our headquarters, or basically to the city where the company is headquartered. Once we understand that people are productive and can contribute even from further away while being remote, it's really changing a lot our perspective, because you can access definitely better talent, and I mean, I have no problem saying that it's statistical, right? I mean, obviously, if you broaden up a lot your talent pool, most likely you'll find more talented pool than in a very restricted area. Is just statistics, and dare I say even cheaper, because obviously you have different costs of living elsewhere, so definitely there's an opportunity of getting good quality talent at a decent cost for a company. And in a way, this whole thing also increases your value proposition as an employer, or the employer branding, let's call it like that, because you become attractive to those people that are beginning to seek remote opportunities. And yeah, I wanted to say, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but I would say there's also a certain correlation between talent and desirability of those people to be flexible. I think talented people have the need, the inherent need of more autonomy in their lives and in their choices. All right. Finally, the kind of I've brought it down, I've boiled it down to those 5 areas to work on that I've said alleviate the kind of underlying, the 3 underlying challenges that companies have, that in turn fix the issues for the employees that they're very naturally so worried about. When it comes to flexible organizations and talent liquidity and this kind of engineer sociability, so how come we create the opportunities for them to interact and engage, to achieve this, we as companies have also the need for some proper office infrastructure in place for where we might need it, because obviously the talent pool being expanded, you cannot rely just on one premise anymore. And also when they need it, so the type of in a way sort of access on demand to those flexible workspaces. If it wasn't clear up until now, definitely I always like to make this point that not so many people now, but definitely before, a lot of people were confusing remote work with work from home, which is definitely not the case. I believe in the past year, because we've been forced to work from home for so long, in a way it started to get a bit of negative connotation to it. It's a bit, it might be good for a number of days, consecutive days even, but there's also there's always the need to escape, basically. And since we could not do that, it's not that well seen anymore. It will change. Work from home is not bad, but definitely is not remote work, because remote work implies many other options, including the head office and other third spaces, and that is more close to the idea of work from anywhere.
Andrei, I have a question for you.
Sure.
A general statement that I hear many times is that people who are now working from home, they say, I work more than before.
Yeah, and that's part of what I've tried to highlight from all those surveys that they have been done on the employees, and working more than before, and also with all those constant interruptions and not being able to disconnect because it's the same physical place, leads to this inability to disconnect, to the burnout. Burnout that has also psychological implications, and so it's really a bad thing, and it begins to become a phenomenon at scale because of those conditions. So it's quite serious.
But you hear this remark many times?
Many times. There are organizations that listen to the team, so those kind of worries channel themselves through to the top management, and management is aware. But there are many organizations that do not have this sort of two-way communication. So you just hear it from people, from the employees. They're complaining, and I've never heard of so many people looking to change jobs because they have this kind of enhanced stress, and that might lead to burnout eventually. Burnout is just the last phase in this stressful environment, and they find it hard to cope.
May I add something related to this?
Sure.
Hello, everyone. So what the discussions that I had also with my clients and with different employees is that it's also related to the fact that once they work from home, they don't feel or they don't receive immediate feedback from their supervisors. And this is why also partly they see their job as monotonous. On the other hand, they don't really know if they're heading in the right direction with what they are doing.
Yeah.
And maybe this also adds up to the burnout feeling, because if you're constantly doing something but you're not receiving constant feedback and you don't know if you're heading in the right direction, then it's a bit difficult to organize and you start being confused. And then maybe you start doing more than is necessary or investing your energy in the wrong direction. I think that this is also something which is related to the work from home component, not necessarily to the remote work components as such.
You're right, and probably I should also include this point. You're so very right. I think definitely companies lack, many of them lack a certain of norms. I will not call them processes, but norms that are implemented for the management team that teaches them to collect feedback and kind of close the loop and not just issue demands and tasks one way, but be also careful of the signaling that the employees give, and do this purposefully. I mean, a thoughtful process. In office, one thing saved us here is the fact that when you see a person, you see their face. In some days they are really down, and okay, you might not have a process of collecting feedback officially, but you see them that they're really down, and you ask them, what's up? I mean, are you okay? And in a way, we fix those things along the way. But you're right. Now that we don't see our faces that much, and many managers, let's face it, are just used to just pushing out, churning tasks, and not really be careful on the not getting feedback, not reaching towards the team members and really asking them, how are you? Are you okay? Do you want us to think things better, to do them differently? Yeah, you're right.
Exactly, and it also goes the other way around, because normally when you're in the office, even if your boss doesn't give you feedback verbally, you also can see by the way he reacts, or by the way he looks at you, or by the way in which he gives you another task or tells you to do something else, that or you can conclude by yourself that what you did is right, which is not the case here anymore. So of course, you contact face to face makes it a lot easier, because you have other components which help you understand what the other one wants to tell you.
Yeah, and stress is not only building up because you have many things coming your way and you have tons of interruptions, but is also building up because you don't know for sure that what you are doing is good or valuable. And when you're done with something, you just receive something else. You don't have the chance to understand if you're going on the right way. No. And closing on this is the part where I will share briefly what we do at Pluria. It relates with offering other workspaces on demand to be complementary to work from home and the whole headquarter office. And I'm not a professional survey maker, but I have a relatively large and relevant audience on LinkedIn, mainly white collar, so the kind of segment that we are talking about now. And I just posted a survey that is a bit unlike the others I have seen, because they're tons of surveys anywhere, everywhere, but most of them basically just dealt with the number two model. So the hybrids, just binary equation, the combination between headquarter and work from home. And the surveys were saying, how many days would you like to work from home? 1 or 2 or 3, and how many days would you like to go to the office? But I think what is needed now is actually another dimension. People always work from third spaces, whether we, especially people in startups, because they're more flexible, but we always enjoyed or wanted to enjoy maybe nice cafe or a business lounge, or if we felt at times we are more productive and from this kind of setup. And me personally, I was always able to do in 1 or 2 hours what I was doing in 4 or 5 in an office environment, really, because I could focus better, and I did not have all those interruptions. So we added this third spaces or flex spaces option, and we polled people, and we have this kind of answers. Now you might say it's normal when you have an option with all options included. Most of the people go there. I think I made it quite clear. I think it's relevant. It's not perfect, the survey, but for me it's relevant enough. Another interesting conclusion here. That's why I said I don't support the idea of giving up completely the headquarter, only in specific cases for specific companies and smaller. But I think that for traditional organizations, the change will be too big to jump from Monday to Friday in Pipera, let's say, to working the liquid perspective, everybody from a network of flexible workspaces and at home. The leap would be too big, resistance is big, and it might not go well. So in a way, people feel that keeping an office, but smaller one. So that's the key here. I don't think companies need any more than a third of their space, a quarter or even less, or a third of the space that they currently operate at most, and build in a more collaborative manner, so to enhance collaboration and meetings and discussions, not individual work. But people, maybe even psychologically, need to still know that they have this kind of fixed anchor in a flexible work pattern, because we all feel that being flexible is the way to go forward. But jumping directly to a completely fully remote, so number 3, to a fully remote way, is not for everybody, let's say, from the very beginning. So we kind of need this fixed anchor that is our own office. So that is why number 3 received very less votes than number 2. So that was my secondary conclusion. The first one, obviously, is that the vast majority, I mean, they now it's acknowledged by the employees that they need more options, because office and work from home are simply not enough, and many people are captive in between. This is what I believe a typical work week might look like. As said, I might be comfortable and I would like to go to the office maybe 1 day per week to update myself with the team. I might be comfortable with working 1 or 2 days or 3 days at home because I do my things. Maybe my kids are not home in those. I don't know. I do my own scheduling and agenda, but definitely I can work from home. But what I would need is the option. Maybe I don't take it. I don't need. But I might need to meet with a small project team or with a client in a location that is closer to our center of gravity. Let's say we are 2 colleagues from Drumul Taberei, 2 colleagues from Militari, and our headquarter is in Pipera. If we want to meet, but if we know that we need to go to Pipera, we might cancel our meeting. So we ruin a perfectly good opportunity to sync, to collaborate, to socialize a bit. So why not giving access to those people and autonomy for them to pick a place that is closer to where they live, and they can have this recurrent weekly or whenever they want. And similarly, for focused work, how I call it, for individual work, this was something that I was doing before. So I don't know if you know of a place called Seneca. It's part cafe, part co-working hub. And at times I was just isolating myself. I was getting there for a Friday or a day of the week. And I was feeling very productive. And I could get away a bit from the whole office environment. Or another use case is maybe I want to go to the mountains during the weekend, but instead of going through the very heavy traffic on Friday afternoon to Brasov, I drive on Thursday evening, and on Friday morning I wake up at Brasov. I use an office, a co-working hub or a place there. I work as normal. I'm productive, but once I finish my day, I'm already there, and I can enjoy the holiday. And that's the need. I mean, just to explain you a bit how this whole thinking led to the product that and the service that we launched into the market, is that we saw the need of these complementary work locations that employees need as options from time to time. So we created a service for the companies. So it's a B2B service, and the company is the client. And they just complement office and work from home with our Pluria service that gives access on demand to now over 100 spaces across country, and is very efficient from a cost perspective. I mean, it's just you pay on demand, pay as you go. It's like Uber, let's say. And they're mainly co-workings, but also hotel lounges and some selected cafes where you can work for. And they are both desks, so you can, as an individual, you can go near home or in the center or in different city, and just focus and be creative. Or we can book meeting rooms for those occasions when you meet with colleagues or clients. Okay, the benefits, I mean, it's clear for the people. You don't commute, you feel more productive, you stay connected with your people, it leads to more creativity. I think so. I mean, those are real pictures from the spaces that we work with. So I think all of us can enjoy working there from time to time. For companies, obviously it's a tool for attracting new clients, like I said, especially those that are working remote. We have clients that are telling us, okay, we started hiring remote, maybe in Constanța, maybe Iași, and some people want to work for us, but they don't have the opportunity to work from home. I mean, maybe they're staying with a grandmother or whatever. They don't feel productive. So it's a software, our product, so we can turn on accounts instantly, or we can turn off accounts if we don't have that employee anymore, and provide them instantly with some options, with some office infrastructure that he can use whenever he cannot work from home, or she. And it's very efficient for the company, or cost-wise, and also very flexible. If you're scaling the team, you're not caught in the office space. Immediately we activate the account, you have access to broader space. If not, contract the team. Again, you are not stuck with 5-7 years of lease, very hard to get out of. It's app-based, very easy for the employees. It's like Uber. I select what kind of space I want to work with, and I instantly book and check in once I get there. While the team maintains control. I think this is a very important aspect, because that we are losing in remote. In office, you know the people are there, and it's not like a Big Brother thing, so not for surveillance, but for safety, and you felt comfortable that you knew where everybody is. Now you don't know. With our solution, since the check-ins are done based on the location of the phone, the employer, whenever they want to see the distribution of the team, who works from what place, they can do that, and also see what are the places that are most popular, and they can adjust budgets for the teams and so on. That's it. I mean, I tried not to spend too much time on what we do, but what we do is just a response to the kind of challenges that I saw that are building up in the market as a result of what we're going through. And obviously, we just try to solve a smaller part of the equation of the puzzle, but there are many pieces like asynchronous work, and then working in a more documented fashion, and focusing more on output, and this kind of whole talent liquidity, and being very nimble and very flexible. It's a lot on the plate of employers and of organizations, but in closure, and then I would happily discuss afterwards. I would say that we are definitely at an inflection point. I mean, it's a crossroads, and the way companies react to this can really make a difference long term, because we can use the struggles of the present to really accelerate building a much more flexible and agile organization, and that can have huge long-term benefits for companies and for employees. For us, if we do it right, it might be that this pandemic was the best thing that could happen, not for other reasons, but the best thing that could happen for forcing us to make the largest maybe quality of life upgrade that we've seen recently. Instead of arranging our life around the work, now we can finally do our work around our lives. So much more emphasis on our personal lives, and with great benefits, I would say, also professionally, and also for the companies that we work for. That's it.
Andrei, there was one more question from George Tico. George, yeah. You're there?
I'm checking now.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I saw the right.
So you can ask a question, George.
I'm not a fiscal specialist myself. I would just say this, because I try to be close to the kind of regulations and the changes in this field. All the legislation is behind reality, but that always has been a true fact. Always legislation comes after a change in real life to regulate it, right? So I would not say we are there yet, and there are definitely challenges. So if you want to hire remote, but within Romania, within the borders, then it's obviously fine, and you get all the benefits. From other countries it really it depends from country to country, but what I see now is many countries, like I was talking about companies, that they should see this as an opportunity. Countries also some countries see this as an opportunity, and we see countries as Portugal and Greece and some other examples, and also some islands or whatever. I mean, many countries around the globe now, they are purposefully doing things and legislation and incentives and communication, marketing to attract people to work remote from their country. I've been bombarded on Instagram, probably, I don't know, based on the kind of sites and news that I read, by this campaign done by the minister, I don't know what ministry of, probably of tourism or from Portugal, work from Portugal. And I'm a big fan of hiking, and they had those ads that were saying you can hike in our mountains and just 30 minutes after you finished your workday, or you can go take a swim 30 minutes after you. So I think a lot of countries will use this and will gain a lot from being a destination for remote workers.
If I may add something, yes, Andrei, you have fully right. And the reason for which I address this question is that we also have confronted with requests from the employee, for example, in the IT field, but not only that, they want to work from Greece 1 month, from Spain, from exactly Portugal, and so on. And it was difficult, let's say, because also agree with the fact that the legislation is far away behind the reality. It is difficult to accommodate all these reality and possibilities with the legal framework that we have in Romania. And I will give you some example. Even if you have the possibility of working remote, we have a law for teleworking, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we can work from anywhere. So the legislator gives this possibility. In the same time, it is keeping the obligation into the law 390s, the law regarding the safety and health at work, that the employer to physically check each place where each remote worker will carry on his activity, to evaluate the risk of injury and occupational disease, and to carry out the instruction into the field of safety and health.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I know.
Exactly.
I know.
So this is one of the aspects. It is difficult for the employer to physically check all the location, because otherwise the question is the following. Can we, for example, not be responsible as an employer in a case of the work accident? The question is yes or no. For the foreign countries, what's happened if the employee are suffering a disease or an accident or coronavirus, and it's should go to the hospital? Who will pay for all those costs for hospital? He is insured or not? And also we have another problem. If he are staying for certain period, for example, in Romania, it's 183 days. If he are staying for a longer period into the foreign country, the employer should register it fiscally in that respective country. So that are a lot of questions in this field that indeed, as I repeat myself, the legislation is far beyond the reality.
Yes.
But we should find solution, because the requests are real.
Absolutely, and I will just maybe add some aspects that I learned recently for Romania. I don't know for working abroad from Romania. Just in the last days, I got confirmed from two different parties, two different lawyers, that there are. It's unofficial, but it seems that soon legislation for Romania will change, and we will not need this whole be location dependent and check location, and so it finally probably will start to catch up with the reality, the legislation, and it should happen soon for Romania. So far, we asked the opinion of PwC and some other lawyers for some clients of ours, and basically they said, but yeah, unofficially, authorities know that the legislation is not up to date, so they're not that rigid when it comes to checking the ways we operate. In the same time, just like an employee was, the employer was responsible if something happened on the way to work. So if they fell and I don't know, on the sidewalk, or if they were traveling and they had something happened in the airport or whatever. The same is also with work from home, and is also with other locations that, for example, we put at their disposal. So basically, our lawyer specialized in this employment aspects told our clients that there is no less responsibility, but not higher than before. You would say that theoretically now, statistically, there is now a higher chance of something bad happening because they change more locations. It remains to be seen. We, for example, and you mentioned the obligativity to check the other locations. We got this on our own. We have a checklist, and we check if the safety and also sanitary recommendations and regulations are in place there. And we, in our app for the locations, we put this. It's called a safe spot badge. It's something indicative. Is not something bulletproof. Obviously, we're not an authority in certificating that, but it's a mini due diligence that we do with every new space that we affiliate to our network. And the employers and employees have this kind of comfort when they see that badge and the kind of measures that are in place. All in all, I'm also really looking forward to see the legislation adapting, and should be happening soon. Up until that point, there is still no. I did not hear of any fee, any, is it fee? How you call it? Amenda?
Fine.
Fine. Yeah. Any fine or anything bad happened, because authorities know that the legislation is not really up to date. But obviously, we will have more peace of mind when that happens. I cannot answer for working abroad.
I also want to add to your answer. Thank you for that. That from reality, the employer act like the following. I will give you the following examples. If you have a request from an employee to work from abroad, some of the employer put the employee to give a declaration that that respective space is according with the legislation, the requirements from the safety and health at work. But I can tell you that is not enough and cannot be replaced with the legal obligation that the employer has. Another employers mentioning that, okay, officially I will not give you permission, but unofficially I know that you will be in other place, because I don't want to take the risk of something happens outside the headquarters, the places where it's certified and it's according with the legislation. Also, a third options that they have, for example, for the employees which are requested to work from abroad, is the fact that they are putting to, let's say, having that European health card to be covered from, I don't know, some minimum intervention in a field of health, or supplementary insurance for health in case that they want to work from Greece 1 month or so on. So there are different possibility case by case, because all having the causes that the legislation is far away from reality. And all the employer have this kind of problem and struggling with the fact how to accommodate the request from the employee with my legal obligation which are provided by the legislation. So, and also are many other options depending on how they will want to tackle this issue.
It's a struggle, and unfortunately for the employer, not only are we left with this kind of uncertainty, and we are a bit caught in the middle with the legislation, but we are also caught in the middle with another thing, which is I feel the employees, since they want more and more this kind of flexibility, I'm quite confident that we'll start seeing some migration. So they will proactively look for employers that offer them more flexibility, and I already see this happening. So one way or another, yeah, we need to offer this kind of flexibility, not only to keep our people, but also maybe to attract new ones.
I fully agree, and
from
that's
other
the reason,
more rigid companies.
Yes, that's the reason for which I share with you this kind of different option that we have analyzed, coming from different requests from the employees, and of course that the employer are in favor of accommodate the request of the employees, but it's not an easy way to do that. It's a very difficult way to accommodate all those requests from the employees.
Yeah, true. My marketing manager is for 6 months in South America. She's been vacationing, traveling all around those countries. And by the way, she's incredibly productive and she does a great job. And now I have 2 other people that want to work 1 month from Morocco, and 1 in Germany. So I feel you. Yeah, I know there's a lot of incoming requests of this nature, and we need to deal with them. Not a big fan of legal administrative paperwork and legislative, but we
I'm
need
not
to
also, but I need to be.
We need to deal with that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Are you finished, Andrei, or you want to speak another hour?
I'm finished. I'm looking forward to hear if there's anything else that somebody can contribute with, or maybe be in disagreement with me, because that's also definitely highly probable on certain aspects. So it's just my struggle during the last half a year or up to 1 year or so, to kind of distill the kind of trends and challenges and opportunities that we have all.
Yeah, but definitely the work format is changing.
Oh, yes.
How it will be, I don't think that we have a clear answer for the moment, because what I hear is people are in favor of working from home, other people not. And it depends also which kind of industry you are. It's a lot of indicators that are going to define how we're going to work in the future.
I compare it to the kind of changes that happened maybe 10 years ago in IT. So we migrated from those kind of heavy IT infrastructure, building house, bunch of capex, bunch of investment, to software as a service. And it was a kind of reluctance, but you have much more flexibility, you have better cost. And it's the same kind of thing I feel it's happening with our office. We move away from this kind of monolithical way of looking at office infrastructure to a more flexible format, where we are addressing just based on our needs the kind of space that we need. And it should be less and less of a headache, because the real value add for us is to work on the strategy going forward. And there are many things, and I feel sorry for companies. I was also in the situation like that, where you are stuck in, I don't know, long-term agreements. You pay a lot, the monthly rate, you don't even use it, or you want to extend or contract it. It's really a pity, and kind of draws your energy to an area of the business that is, in my view, not that relevant anymore for a company. But change is accelerating. Yeah.
Okay. If there are no other questions anymore, I would like to thank everyone who participated today, to thank also Andrei for the presentation of today.
Sure. Thank you.
And,
You can find me on LinkedIn or just to connect if you want to talk some other time. I'd be happy. I enjoy very. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm quite passionate about this.
That's clear.
This stuff,
That's
so.
clear. That's clear. That's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrei, you just wait a little bit to make an analysis of the webinar. So for the rest,
okay.
thank you very much and have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everybody.